Good evening. Welcome to the Budget Finance Committee, April 1st. I'd like to recognize that we do have a quorum. First on the agenda, go over the annual town meeting warrant budget article recommendations. So, would you like to share? Okay, if we're going to share, you have to read.
Oh, no.
Article 3, referendum on question A, to see if the town will vote to set the date the first half of taxes due October 31st, 2025, and the second half of the taxes due April 30th, 2026. Thank you. Set the interest rate for unpaid balances and abated tax at 7.5% for the fiscal year. Authorize the tax collector or treasurer to accept prepayments of taxes not yet committed pursuant to 36 MRSA subsection 506 with no interest, and authorize the select board on behalf of the town to sell and dispose of any property acquired by the town for non-payment of taxes pursuant of the policy adopted by the select board, as may be amended from time to time. The policy to remain consistent with the state statutes and laws. In all cases, conveyances to be made by municipal quitclaim deed. Can I get a motion to recommend?
Move to recommend.
I can second.
Second? All right.
Which one is that? 3.
Number 3. Discussion. Not seeing any?
I wanted to make sure I was here because that warrant article, the way it's written, is very confusing.
Go ahead.
I'm happy to answer anything that you want to know about it because at the last minute, I was asked to include different options. One was the Maine Municipal Bond Bank, and I just don't see that rate being much different from the lease rate. And then also, I was having a hard time locating the 3 bids for that, so I did manage to get those.
Are we on Article 3? Brenda, are you on Article 3?
No, I'm sorry, Article 25?
Yeah, no.
Article 25. Brenda's like, Brenda wants to wrap this thing up.
She's like, we're done. Yeah. And that's all. Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion? Yeah, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Karen, all in favor? Okay, motion carries. All right, excuse me if I mumble too, there's a lot to get through. So, referendum question B, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $3,125,416 to general government services, administration, assessing, code enforcement, employee benefits, general assistance, insurances, recreation, and technology. The budget figures will be assigned as follows. Administration, $724,316. Assessing, $98,257. Code enforcement, $250,650. Employee benefits, $1,332,504. General assistance, $15,000. Insurances and workers' comp, $187,639. Recreation, $294,850. Technology, $222,200. I get a motion to recommend.
Make a motion to recommend.
All right. Can I get a second? Cliff with the second. Discussion. Don?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to vote in the affirmative on this and the subsequent articles, but I'm really in hopes that in a subsequent year we can have a much better interaction with the administration, both elected and appointed, with respect to getting information, timely and accurate information. I've been very disappointed with this process. It's unlike any I've ever seen in my over 40 years in municipal government. But, you know, I realize we've got to end this and move on. And, you know, in speaking with a member of the Board of Selectmen who I have a lot of respect for, I guess it's the best we're going to do. But I actually think we can do better next year. Let's hope. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Further discussion? Okay, not seeing any. All in favor of recommending Article 4? Karen, unanimous?
And Cliff put his hand up.
Cliff, you
I'm
raised your
in
hand?
favor.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Okay, that motion carries.
sorry, I thought you saw it.
That's,
I blocked it.
Article 5, referendum question C, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,627,495 to Public Works. The budget figures will be assigned as follows. Public Works, $1,095,156. Town Buildings, $47,250. Solid Waste, $457,089. Cemeteries, $28,000. I have a motion to recommend.
I recommend.
Okay.
Second.
Frank the second. Discussion. Not seeing any. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay, very good, thank you. Passes unanimously. Article 6, referendum question D, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,445,806 for public safety. The budget figures will be assigned as follows. Fire Rescue Department, $1,396,990. Animal Control, $48,816. Do we have a motion to recommend? Frank?
Recommend.
Okay, a second. Cliff, second. Discussion. Not seeing any. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Article 7, referendum question E, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to dispose of town-owned personal property with value not to exceed $75,000. May I have a motion?
Motion to recommend.
Second.
Second. Discussion.
One question, is there a bid process on disposing of this? Is that mandated any place? It's a note I had from the other night. And I never did hear. No, okay.
I wouldn't be the person to answer that, so we do hear that. Believe that there is not a process.
There's no mandate to bid it.
Okay. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay. Cliff?
No.
Okay. Opposed?
Bid process.
Opposed, okay. So the motion still carries. There is one opposed. Thank you, Cliff. Article 8, referendum question F, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to appropriate the undesignated fund balance surplus to meet the unanticipated needs for the community that occurred during the fiscal year and/or adjust the tax rate as a select board deemed advisable, the amount not to exceed $75,000. Can I get a motion to recommend? Cliff,
Yep.
motion. And a second? Deanna. Discussion. Okay. All in favor of recommending Article 8? Cliff.
I'm in favor.
Okay, unanimous. Article 9, referendum question G, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to transfer funds between appropriation accounts as long as grand total of all appropriation is not exceeded. Any such transfers to be approved only at a properly called public meeting of the select board. I butchered that a little bit. The last part is any such transfers to be approved only at a properly called public meeting of the select board. Do I have a motion? Cliff, the motion.
Second.
Frank, second. Discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor?
I'm in favor.
Unanimous. Article 10, referendum question H, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to allow town staff to make application for and execute any documents related to a grant, accept or reject grants, donations, and/or gifts of the money to the town of Raymond, and authorize the expenditure of monies awarded, donated, and/or gifted for the purpose specified in the grant, donation, and/or gift. Can I get a motion? Flip. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
I'm in favor.
Unanimous. Motion carries. Article 11, referendum question I, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to appropriate from a designated fund balance surplus to reduce the property tax commitment as the select board deem advisable in the amount not to exceed $700,000. Motion.
Motion.
Okay, second, Cliff. Okay, discussion.
Sean, make sure that when someone makes a motion, they say the words in full, that I make a motion to recommend.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to give your recommendation to, or do you want to repeat it?
It was you, right?
It was me. Make a motion to recommend.
I'll second it.
Okay. We have to do this all over again. Discussion. Seeing none. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay. The motion carries. Okay, Article 12, referendum question J, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $511,177 from tax increment of the pipeline / Route 302 tax increment financing district for FY 25-26 project proposed in the tax increment financing district development program. For details, see Addendum 1. Can I get a motion to,
Move that the Budget Finance Committee recommends this article.
Second the motion.
discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
I'm in favor.
Karen, I believe that was a yes?
Yes.
I lost her, okay. But
Yes, I'm in favor.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Article 12, motion carries. Article 13, referendum question K, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from Tasseltop Park Enterprise Fund for the amount of $144,500 for the administration of activities at the park, and to allocate all revenues generated by park operations to be recorded in and retained by Tasseltop Park Enterprise Fund. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion for the Budget Finance Committee to recommend this article.
I'll second the motion.
Clip seconds. Discussion. Okay. Not seeing anything. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay. Motion carries unanimous. Article 14, referendum question L, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from the Recreation Programs Special Revenues Fund in the amount of $198,500 for the administration of activities at the programs, and to allocate all revenues generated by program operations to be recorded in and retained by Recreation Programs Enterprise Fund. I have a motion.
Move that the Budget Finance Committee recommend Article 14.
A second.
Deanna seconds. Discussion. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Article 15, referendum question M, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $578,840,000 for debt services. The budget figures will be assigned as follows. 2022 lease purchase rescue pumper truck, $58,063. 2023 Tasseltop snack shop and public works garage design, $266,800. 2024 broadband fiber ring loan, $253,977. Do we have a motion to recommend?
I motion that the select board, that the Budget Finance Committee recommends this article.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, excellent. Discussion.
Keep falling asleep.
No,
Not seeing any? All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Motion carries for Article 15. Article 16, referendum question N, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $203,701 for Raymond Village Library. Can I get a motion to recommend?
I make a motion that the Budget Finance Committee recommends this article.
I'll second.
Seconds, okay. Discussion. Not seeing any. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay. Motion carries to recommend Article 16. Article 17, referendum question O, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $415,000 and to move abandoned or completed projects that have been carried forward in the CIP, $135,623, total of $550,623 from Capital Improvement Program. Budget figures would be assigned as follows: raise and appropriate Public Works equipment, $281,373. Public Works paving, $119,791. Public Safety Fire Apparatus Reserve, $13,836. Carry forward and move Public Works equipment, $34,603. Public Works paving, $66,417. Public Safety Fire Apparatus Reserve, $34,603. Can I have a motion to recommend?
Make a motion that the Budget Finance Committee recommends this article.
I'll second that motion.
Second, okay. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay. Motion carries. Article 18, referendum question P, to see whether the town will vote to carry forward any existing fund balance in the Capital Improvement Program, CIP, accounts, the healthcare reimbursement accounts, HRA, and the employee compensation account. Can I get a motion to recommend Article 18?
I make a motion that the Budget Finance Committee recommends this article.
And I'll second it.
Cliff with the second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay. No opposed, right? Okay. Unanimous for Article 18 carries. Article 19, referendum question Q, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $67,500 for the RTP micro van service. May I get a motion to recommend Article 19?
I make a motion that the Budget Finance Committee recommends this article.
I second it.
Deanna seconds. Discussion. I'm excited for this. I really hope that I hope this serves our town well. Don.
I think this is a good thing, but once again, we need to support the Lake Region Transportation Bus as a baseline. This is an extra layer, and it's a good extra layer, but let's do the right thing and support the baseline like our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Don, you were in favor, Don? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Article 19, motion carries. Article 20, referendum question R, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $13,250 for provider agencies. $15,000 for Crescent Lake Watershed Association.
100, sorry.
I'm sorry, 1,500, thank you. $1,500 for Crescent Lake Watershed Association, $750 for the Lakes Region Chamber of Commerce, $10,000 for the Thomas Pond Dam restoration, and $1,000 to be used at town manager's discretion.
Make a motion that the Budget Finance Committee recommends this article.
I second.
In seconds. Discussion. Don?
I think in future years, there ought to be more study given to the actual provider agencies that apply and the benefits that are received by our citizens. You know, I appreciate the notion of trying to limit any kind of contributions to social services, but I think, you know, and there are other towns that do it. I guess Gorham does it, but for the most part, most towns fund these agencies at a higher level than Raymond does. And so I'd like to see an analysis of what sort of services are received by our citizens and what our contribution is, and what sort of leverage funds that we're not supporting federal and state to help people in need. And there are a lot of course, requests that are, you know, I won't say frivolous, but they're certainly not requests that are, you know, directly benefiting the town in a significant way. But I think there are others that are doing that we are neglecting to fund. And I like the idea of the discretionary fund for the town manager, but $1,000 is not significant. So in subsequent budget years, let's take a look at what we're doing to support the agencies that help support the people in our community in need. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Further discussion? Seeing none, I think we lost Karen. All in favor?
There she is.
I'm in favor.
Okay. Motion carries. Article 21, referendum question S, to see if the town will vote to appropriate total sum of $2,221,180 from estimate non-property tax revenues to reduce the property tax commitment together with all categories of funds which may be available from federal government and any other sources. Can I get a motion for Article 21?
Make a motion, Article 21,
Okay.
The Budget Finance.
the Budget Committee, Finance Committee.
Okay.
To recommend.
To recommend, yes. Sorry.
May I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
I'm in favor.
Motion carries unanimous. Article 22, referendum question T, to see if the town will vote to accept certain state funds as provided by the Maine State Legislature during the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, and any other funds provided by any other entity, including but not limited to municipal revenue sharing, local road assistance, emergency management assistance, snowmobile registration money, homestead exemption, tree growth reimbursement, general assistance reimbursement, veterans exemption reimbursement, business equipment tax exemption reimbursement, state grant or other funds. Do I have a motion to recommend Article 22?
Make a motion to recommend Article 22 for the Budget Finance Committee.
Okay. May I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
I'm in favor.
Unanimous. Motion passes. Article 23, referendum question U, to see if the town will vote to authorize the use of town employees and/or town-owned equipment or independent contractors hired by the town for maintenance on private roads in special and certain circumstances were in the public's interest. Do I have a Motion to recommend Article 23.
I'll make a motion, Budget and Finance Committee recommends Article 23.
All right,
Second.
Frank with the second. Discussion. You're not the one that's reading all this. Oh,
Yeah. You're doing a great job.
oh, thank you. Seeing none. All in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay, unanimous. Article 23 passes. Article 24, referendum question V, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from undesignated funds balance $642,568 for the employee benefits liability. Can I have a motion to recommend Article 24?
I'll make a motion, the Budget Finance Committee recommend this article.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay. Article passes. All right. All right, hang on tight here. Article 25, referendum question W, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to enter into a lease purchase agreement for an amount not to exceed $1,600,000, not including interest and/or legal fees on such terms as they deem advisable for the purchase of purchasing a new stock ladder truck, and raise an appropriate amount not to exceed $334,152 from the payment due in fiscal year 2025-2026 for the 5-year lease option. $250,000 for the payment due in fiscal year 2025-2026 for the 7-year lease. $187,348 for the payment due in fiscal year 25-26 for the 10-year lease, or option shown below through the Maine Municipal Bond Bank beginning in the fall, offering 25-26 for a 20-year term. Payment every year, $112,743. Total of 20 payments, $2,254,008.55. Total interest, $788,008.55. Total indebtedness of June 30, 2025. Outstanding principal balance, $1,447,746. Authorized but not issued debt, 0. New debt to be issued if Article 25 passes, $1,447,746. Total debt outstanding if Article 25 passes, 0. Cost, the projected interest rate is at a maximum rate of 5% per annum of 5, 7, 10, or 20-year. The estimated cost of this lease purchase will be as follows, to be determined. Principal, $1,447,746. Interest, 0. Total debt service, 0. Disclaimer, the validity and voters' ratification of the new debt may not be affected by any errors in the above estimates. If the actual amount of the new debt varies from the estimate, the ratification of the voters is nevertheless conclusive and validity of new debt is not affected by reason of the variance. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for the Budget and Finance Committee.
Oh.
Sorry. Sorry, you have to go through the motion. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun.
Okay. I'll make a motion for the Budget and Finance Committee to approve, I recommend rather, Article 25.
Second.
Okay. Brianna, go ahead. I know that you're itching.
Yeah, so I had a lot of last-minute requests by the select board to come up with a few different variations, which is why it looks so full in that box. At the end of the day, after Mel had already sent this out, it was determined that the best option is the 10-year. I think that's the option that the select board is going to vie for. There really was no cost savings doing a note through the bond bank, plus you have to pay for attorneys and various other fees. If you really wanted to, the 5-year option is good, but that's a pretty big hunk every year. 300-something thousand dollars. That's a lot to swallow for a 5-year span. So I don't think that one was palatable, but it's on there anyway. But at the end of the day, I think the select board's going to recommend the 10-year. That was what I was told.
That would be my recommendation. I don't know if we can modify this to tie it up tighter or not.
No, we can't modify this. We're just recommending it. So if we recommend it, well, it might probably bounce back to them and they will determine from there what's the best.
Yes, what would happen is if the select board moves for the 10-year, they could still vote on that at the time of the meeting, but then I can clean up that verbiage in that article to just only state the 10-year calculations.
So we'd be looking at 2C, $187,348 for the payment due in fiscal year 25-26 for the 10-year lease.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion, and it's been seconded to recommend Article 25, recommend question W.
If I might.
Go ahead.
Dennis Morris, 340. It's more clarification. This language wasn't there when we voted on it. It was really the first part, number one. Should it, and I'm asking Brenda this, or maybe, should it be or? It looks to me like these are all different options, A, B, C, and D. Should we have an or in between it until such time as it becomes the final warrant? Or is
Well,
B, C, and D all the same, or B and C the same?
so basically, there was also a lease breakout attached to this as backup. So you can see the 5, 7, and 10-year lease option. The last option was just something that I was asked to retrieve. So I went to the Maine Municipal Bank website, and it does not look to me as though there's going to be a huge swing in interest rates, although anything's possible the way things are going these days. But for clarity, that's why I wanted to make sure I spoke up during this meeting about that article, because when the board votes to approve the article, at that time of determination, I can still, even after it's voted on, I can clean that article up prior to the public voting on it. So it will just show the 10-year, if that's the way that it's voted.
I guess let me say this a little clearer. It looks to me like there's 3 different options laid out here, 5, 7, and 10, and then the final one is down there at the 20 payments.
Right, that's for the bond.
So should there be the word or should it say up, raise an appropriate amount not to exceed one of the following options?
Well, we can't change that now.
Well, they're going to vote on it, though.
We didn't yet, we will be when we
Well-
finalize after what they said.
Yes, they are going to vote on whether or not to approve the warrant article, but as far as there won't be an or
She won't have all
once
that
that's
extra
determined.
Okay, okay.
All that will be
It'll
coming
just
out.
be
instead
one.
of the one. They wanted- they
There can
wanted
be
to
only
see
one.
that.
That's what I guess.
Yes.
So they are all
Yeah.
different options. That's why I was wondering why there wasn't.
I think what this
Thank you.
does is we voted this article, and this gives the select board the option of making the choices, what we've done.
Yeah,
We're in
We
agreement,
wanted to see what the
Right.
options
Yeah.
were.
we're in
Yes.
agreement that the select board should choose one of the
Yeah.
options.
So the big vision is that we are recommending the 1.6. Is really how they finance it is
Yes.
Up to you.
it'd be more
And
work
that's
for
working
be more.
with Brenda to see what the best option is for our books.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
All that.
Well, the other thing, isn't there a possibility that we can recommend this article? It will go to the select board, and we present it to the select board in a cleaned up fashion, and then come back to us for a final recommendation on their option. This is too, I feel like this is too loosely defined in the way it's written now. We have done that before, where we have sent it back to the select board, and it's been cleaned up and then come back to us for final recommendation.
Okay.
So the only problem I think with that, Karen, is timing, as far as how much time we have in between to have another meeting or to do that. It can get cleaned up even after the discussion that you have tonight. It doesn't mean that it's not gonna get cleaned up. It has to be, especially for the voters. They have to see a clear picture of what the select board votes.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I have a question for you, Brenda, about the principal interest and total debt service. Where are those numbers?
Okay, so there should be a breakout right there in the box. Hold on a second, let me pull my copy up.
Karen, do you have the community leasing partners page? It would be the very last page after Article 25.
Oh, okay, so they're on here, but they
Yeah.
just didn't get filled in the box.
Well,
There's different options.
because there's so many choices, there was only so
Yeah.
much room in the box.
Right.
I really didn't know how to present this to you because I was asked to show so many choices. It was difficult for me to figure out how to do that. I've never seen that many choices put on a warrant article.
I could simplify this.
Go ahead.
Realistically, the 10-year lease is kind of a standard
Yeah.
deal that the fire apparatus companies make. And it seems to me that she said the select board would be leaning that way, and I certainly would. A 5 or a 7 wouldn't be acceptable to me right now with everything going on, so I would be voting the 10. And I think the select, as a budget committee, you can look at that and decide if you prefer the 10 and simply say that, and it would be easier that way.
That was my
Because no one's going to
question.
want a 5-year in this process.
No, and I think, sorry.
You got it, mostly. But it's like what Sean said. You guys are voting on the 1.6. So what we're doing is we're having Brenda break down what is the best options, what is the best interest rates. And like what Karen was just looking for is under that community leasing, she has broken down from the 5, the 7 to the 10 as to what the payment is, what the interest, how much of the down payment. So you guys are approving the 1.6 for it. And Brenda's going to find the best way that it doesn't drown the town by too big of a payment and interest and everything else, because she's got the books and knows what it is. So, yeah.
Cup, do you have anything to add?
No, again, I would think we could make the recommendation and recommend that that be the way it be done. Because we've recommended how other stuff is, when we approve stuff, we approved the recommendation of how you were gonna get the money and where it was coming from.
It's not gonna say that at the bottom. You either have to recommend the article or not sorry, I shouldn't do that.
That's probably the way.
You guys have to either recommend the article or not recommend the article. You're not recommending what the percentage is. She's just giving that all to you. You guys either just have to recommend the 1.6 million or not. That's it. You can't change what is written down or anything like that.
Well, I don't think anybody's trying to. really.
No, that's what he's saying now, that he wants to recommend the 10 on it, but you can't, you guys have to get it on record. That you either recommend the article or not.
Well,
You probably could
We've
do it
already
during
recommended
budget
it.
committee member,
I don't
during,
think we've done it yet, though.
you could probably do it during comments.
I have no problem with recommending it anyway,
Yeah, okay,
no matter how we pay for it.
okay. So, any further discussion? Okay, so we have a motion, and it's been seconded to recommend Article 25, recommend question W. All in favor? Any opposed? Karen, can I get your, can you give me your answer?
Yes, I vote in favor.
In favor, okay, so Article 25 passes. Okay. Closing that up. Open up for public comment. Going once for public comment? Twice, 3? Okay. Close out public comment. Budget Finance Committee comment. Cliff?
I'm concerned, I know that every meeting, pretty near every meeting I've sat through, as Dawn said, we've discussed and we're in favor of adding, whatever, Lake Region Explorer or the RTP. And I don't see that on the warrant at all. And did we waste our time even talking about it? Because the mini transport was to help support that, was a two-way thing. Within the discussion, that if we weren't getting after a reasonable 6-month plus time, if we weren't getting the calls for it, then we'd do away with it. So I just wondered how that warrant, how that item just kind of disappeared and didn't show up as a separate article. And I think that was what Dawn was talking about, too.
Yeah, I think,
It was never presented as an article.
No, but neither was this.
Well,
I agree.
I
It was never
realize
pres-
that, but I'm just saying the reason that.
No, but it was
you know,
discussed.
It was
Like I said,
discussed. but
It was discussed, and the general feeling was to
But-
put it in, and I'm asking why
But
it didn't get
It
added as
didn't
an
get in
article.
because that was not our bailiwick. We couldn't do that. We could recommend that the select board make an article.
Well, it was also recommended at the select board meeting, too.
that's true.
But that's up to the select board to make that decision.
That was my question.
And so I guess they
Fair
made
enough.
that decision.
Go ahead, Don.
What Frank is saying is accurate, and I'm with Cliff on this. You know, I guess there was some discussion that we can use the shuttle to take folks to the other towns that have stops, and, you know, that's just too much in my mind. Once again, let's just do the right thing. It's de minimis money. You know, I hear these arguments that, you know, there's only 2 people that ride it, this, that, the other. Certainly, it hasn't been promoted very well, supported at all, and, you know, it's the right thing to do, and let's just do that and move on from this topic. I mean, I guess maybe it's 40 years in this business where I've had to hear these discussions over such things for over and over and over again, and then many things that are, you know, exponentially expensive without much analysis pass. This is a good thing. This is the right thing. This is the thing to do for our community, as the other communities do. It should not be a debate. It should not be a discussion. It should be just done. I'm hoping that we have a new elected body that will see that. Thank you.
Any other Budget Finance Committee member discussion? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion for adjournment?
Move it, we adjourn.
Okay. Frank?
Second.
Dana, second. Okay. Thank you.